Hello and welcome back to the Nasty Metal Productions channel here at YouTube, and welcome to another Friday review. Today I am here to review Fatal Encounter, the fourth new album from Swedish heavy metal band Air Raid. Released back on February 24th via High Roller Records. So, without further ado, let's begin. Now, before I get into giving my thoughts on Fatal Encounter, you know what I have to do. I have to do a track list rundown so I can tell you folks what are the songs that are on this album, how many tracks that are on this album, and what is the time length for this album. Since this album consists a total of 9 tracks, it clocks in at the length of 37 minutes and 28 seconds. So, these 9 tracks are, well, beginning with Thunderblood, Lionheart, In Solitude, See the Light, Sinfonia, hope I pronounced that correct, which is a 1 minute and 13 second instrumental. Edge of a Dream, Let the Kingdom Burn, One by One, and then finally ending with Pegasus Fantasy. So there you go, folks. There's your 9 tracks. You know what the sound that is. That is the sound of my notes. I am never going to stop doing that, guys. I'm never going to stop, so don't try and tell me to stop. You'll just be wasting your breath. Okay. Since the band's third album from 2017, Across the Line, the band went through a slight lineup change. Drummer David Hermansen and bass player Robin Udbolt, hope I pronounced all those names correctly, both had been with the band since 2011, ended up leaving. By 2019, they would get replaced by both William Seidel and John Ekbert. Hope I'm pronouncing all these names correctly. Again, they're from Sweden. I'm not. But I'll be as respectful as I can. With this new lineup, they would release a 2-track 7-inch single in 2019 titled Demon's Eye, with the re-recording of Midnight Burner being the B-side. And now, here we are with Fatal Encounter, the first full-length album with this lineup. Continuing the same melodic power metal attack of the previous album and previous as well, again before Across the Line, featuring a fine number of thunderous fret burners, like the opening track Thunderblood, which is built around infectious hooks with the catchy chorus. Then of course, the freedom-soaring nature of Lionheart, not a Saxon cover, though I don't know if it was inspired by the Jean-Claude Van Damme movie of the same name. Still, it's a great track. Again, all the way to the rising glory of One by One. All 3 of these songs are enough to make one feel like they should be conquering the day with everything that they got. Complete with training montage package as well. That's only if you're trying to envision yourself wanting to have a training montage, you know, while you're getting up in the morning or whatever, while One by One is playing in the background, maybe even on your headphones or earphones, whatever the fuck you're wearing. Besides the 3 aforementioned fret burners, there is at least one mid-paced song here. That is the fist in the air power of Let the Kingdom Burn. A very solid song with plenty of infectious hooks, which is something that I find great in Air Raid. They know how to write a hook. That's why Across the Line was such a fantastic album from them. Just great and really one of my personal favorites from the band. And that, again, it just was filled with a lot of these ingredients that I think pretty much make just great melodic heavy metal or power metal, whatever, that I think Air Raid really fits those descriptions of. It's just great. Just shredding in all the right kind of ways. Reminded me of actually one of the better stuff to be found on the Shrapnel label back in the day. Now, it should be noted that this album contains 2 cover tracks, the first one being See the Light, a song by a very obscure band, and I mean very obscure band, in late 80s Swedish metal band Trazy, taken off the band's only demo from 1989. It was also featured on a compilation album titled Rock of Sweden Volume 1, which was also released the same year of 1989. Then the last cover song here to be found is the final track here, Pegasus Fantasy, a cover of a Japanese melodic hard rock band, Makeup, who had released plenty of albums in the 80s. What's unique here is that singer Frederick Warner didn't change a damn thing to the lyrics here. So he stays true by singing it the way the guys of Makeup did, which is in Japanese, or at least half Japanese, with of course the lyric, some of the title whatever being in English. Something that was always a trait of Japanese metal bands in the 80s, and possibly even into the 70s as well, with like Bow Wow and so on. So again, it's a very admirable Japanese here and everything. It's a great cover, and I think that they did a fine job. Hopefully also turning some guys like me, and maybe even others, onto a band like Makeup. Because again, I'm definitely one that's always very interested in that sort of 80s and 70s Japanese rock and metal scene. I like that type of era. And of course, the 90s had some great Japanese metal bands as well. Again, there are some great ones, and I've covered some of them on this channel. Alright, I am done digressing there. So besides that, this is a fine album, but I must confess, I don't think it's as good as Across the Line was, but this is still a solid enough effort for the recent lineup here, since, again, being brought together in 2019, with the Demon's Eye 7-inch and everything with this lineup. Again, it's just some quality metal to be found here nonetheless. So, there you go, folks. There's my overall thoughts on Fatal Encounter from Air Raid. My rating for this album is a solid 8.70 out of 10. Again, like I stated at the end there, it's a good album, but I don't know if I find it to be as strong as Across the Line was. Again, Across the Line was, I think, Air Raid at their very best, and I still stand by that. It was a really good album from them, and to me, probably the best they've ever put out. Again, this one's a solid enough album as it is, but I don't know if it really quite reached the same levels of Across the Line did. But again, still, it's a great album, and I know all of you probably still think this is a good album as well, as it should. So, with that, if you've never listened to this album, I know if you have, again, you can leave your comments in the comment section below. Whether they'll be, positive or negative, leave them. But if you've never checked out this album and you're just kind of curious, I recommend checking out Fatal Encounter anyways, and I hope you also go back and listen to albums like Across the Line. Just great albums right there. So with that, this is Heavy Thrash saying I'm out, and I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.